Alright, welcome back everyone. Let's give the treasure chest that we modeled in the last part a few details. So I'm going to give it a couple handles, some bolts, but first let's dent it up a little bit. Select your mesh, open up your modeling toolkit, and then grab your multi-cut tool. What we want to do is add a loop in an area that intersects with a section that we want to dent. So I'm going to hold down Control on the keyboard and add a loop right here. And then I'm going to press Q to go to my select tool and switch to vertex selection. And I'm going to start with this vertex over here. You can choose whatever vertex you like on your mesh, but I'm going to choose this one. And then to dent this up, what we need to do is chamfer this vertice. So if you go open up the Edit Mesh tab, down here you see chamfer vertices. I'm going to use the marking menu though. So I'm going to hold down Shift and the right mouse button and choose chamfer vertex. And then the next thing I'm going to do is select these two vertices and then hold down Shift and the right mouse button and connect components. There you go. It might be a little bit hard to see, so I'm just going to select this mesh and harden these edges so you can see a little bit better. And you can see we have a pretty nice indent there now. All right, let's do another area. So over here, let's choose this vertex up here. I'm going to choose that one. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and the right mouse button, chamfer vertex. And you could actually play with the width to change the size of this if you like. I'm gonna go with something like that, and then I'm gonna choose these two and connect. All right. We can also move these vertices if we want. When you're moving these, what I prefer to do is hold down Control and Shift, and then that way it slides. But just beware that if you move it too close, it might change direction on you. So when you're creating the chamfer, create it a little bit smaller than you need if you plan to move these vertices, right? So I'm holding down Control and Shift, just sliding this up a little bit. All right, maybe I'll do this one as well. So I'm selecting that vertex. Gonna chamfer this. This one is already a triangle. It's fine. We don't really need to connect any edges, but I'll make it a bit bigger. Right, around the back, let's do this corner here. So I'm going to select that vertex and then chamfer it. This one's a little bit different. So for this one, let's grab our multi-cut tool just to fix it up. I'm going to connect from here to here and also to here. And then I'm going to go into edge mode, select this edge, and I'm going to hold down Control and press Delete. There you go. So now we have a little corner cut out. And then over here, maybe I'll chamfer this vertex as well. Chamfer. The size of this one, maybe I'll make this a bit smaller. And then connect. There we go. And then let's see. I think that should be fine. I'm going to select this mesh now, and I'm going to harden the edges. All right, so our mesh is dented up now. If I turn off wireframe unshaded, we might be able to see it a bit better. Let me just turn on ambient occlusion for a second. So you can see it looks pretty good. I'm gonna turn that off just because it slows down my computer. All right, so the next thing we wanna do is maybe make some handles. So add a torus to the scene. This object is pretty simple. Here's our torus, let's rotate it. So I'm gonna hold down J, and rotate it 90 degrees, and then let's move it into place as well. So I'm gonna move it over here. We're gonna place it essentially around this area, but we're only gonna make one side and then we'll duplicate the other side. So let's select this mesh, press T on the keyboard to bring back this window, and let's lower the subdivisions. So for the subdivision axis, I'm probably gonna go with 6 is fine. And then for the height, I'm going to drop this down to 8. Let's reduce the section radius as well. So I'm going to go with maybe a size like that. I'm going to scale it down though and move it into place and see how it fits. Right, so that's a little bit large. maybe a bit smaller. There we go. All right, so it's the size I want. To work on this some more, let's isolate it, or make it a bit easier. So I'm gonna isolate it. And what we'll do is we'll also freeze the transformations. We have some transforms there. All right, next, let's grab our multi-cut tool and we'll put a cut right here. So hold down Control and middle mouse click here. So we add a loop in the middle and then switch to edge mode, double click this edge and let's bevel this. So click bevel and we'll just increase the fraction a bit and then let's extrude these faces. So switch to face mode, box select those, and then click extrude. And we'll give it a bit of thickness, something like that is fine. All right, and then what I want to do next is I'm gonna select these faces over here, and then we want to extrude this section as well. So click extrude, and then you can see we're oriented this way. We can either click on this little widget or press W to go to our move tool. I'm gonna press W, and then I'm gonna click and drag this out, and then I'm gonna go to my scale tool and scale this in. All right, so it looks a little bit like that. We don't need the faces there, so let's just delete those. And then over here, we have some extra topology. We're kind of done modeling in this area. So if we fix up the topology now, when we extrude this section in a second, we'll have less edges to clean up later. So let's clean up this area now. Before we do that, let's turn on symmetry. So let's see here. We will turn on X symmetry, which is running this way. So we'll go to Object X and just make sure it's working. There we go, it's working. And then to retopologize this a little bit, let's go grab our target weld tool and make sure we're in vertex selection. So hold down the right mouse button, choose vertex. And then I'm gonna start welding some of these. So I'm gonna weld this one to here and this to here. And then I'm gonna weld these to the top and bottom. And then this middle one, I'll just weld maybe to the top. All right, so we have something like that. Next, let's turn off symmetry. We'll go into edge mode. Double click this edge. I'm gonna move it back a little bit. And then I want to extrude this. So click extrude. And we are going to, I think it's thickness. Yeah, we'll play with the thickness. So I'll bring it out to about right here. Not too high. So something like that. And then I'm gonna go to my scale tool and scale it out a little bit. And then I'm gonna click extrude one more time and push it in. So something like that. So we have an object that looks like that. All right, let's go into object mode, select it. Let's unisolate our view and see how it lines up. All right, and I think that looks pretty good right there. So we have a low poly handle. All right, so we'll duplicate it after. Let's make our bolts next. So to make our bolt, we'll just add a cylinder into the scene. Just gonna move it out over here. And let's drop the subdivisions. So press T on the keyboard. We'll lower this to 6. And then what I wanna do is just size it up with an area on the mesh. So first, let's rotate it. So I'm gonna rotate it 90 degrees. Holding down J, there we go. And then just scale it down and move it roughly into place. So where I want to put it is, let me just show you. I want to place them one here, one here, one here, one here, and then all the 4 corners to match. I'm just gonna reduce the size of this. Let's see how it looks. You can see it's quite a bit of work to get this into place, right? So I'll show you a trick in a second. I'm just trying to size it up first. All right, so let's see here. There we go. So I'll go with something like that. All right, so now what I'm gonna do actually is move it out over here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make some duplicates and snap it onto this mesh. So I'll show you how that works. But first, The type of duplication we're going to do is an instance, because when we put it onto the mesh, eventually I want to be able to delete the faces and delete them all at once. And we can't really do that with a regular object, a regular duplication, regular copy, I should say. So let me show you how to make an instance of this. So select your bolt, go up to the Edit tab, and then down here you have a Duplicate Special. Open up that option box. Just going to reset this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 copies. And I'm going to change it from copy to instance. And then I'm also going to give it a little translation. So the Z translation is this way. So I'm just going to make this like 0.3. That way it spaces it and I can grab it easier. There we go. And then click Duplicate Special. So we have this going on right now. So we have 8 copies. So if I go into one of the component modes, say face mode, if I select a face, you can see that they're all selected. So they're sharing the property. So if I scale this, right, or sorry, move it, you can see that it affects all the other ones, and it makes it really easy to delete those faces later. All right, so let's go into object mode and let's start placing it onto here. So in one of these corners, sorry, 2 of the corners. What I'll do is I will go up to the Modify tab. Down here, you have something called Snap Together Tool. Select that. And how this tool works is you just need to click on this mesh. And then we need to click on an area on this mesh that we want to snap to. So I'm going to choose right here and then press Enter. And it's basically going to just snap onto there. And it's snapping using this surface, right? So we want to make sure that when we're using the Snap Together tool, we're choosing the same side, because that way it deletes the correct side later on, right? So I'm going to select this, click on here. Actually, I don't want to do that. Pressing delete to undo that. I'm going to put it right here. There we go. This might take a while, so I may fast forward this. But you can see how much time we save just by using this tool. Very convenient for snapping to a surface. All right, so it's all snapped onto there now. Next thing I want to do is delete those faces that are underneath that we don't see, right? So let's select this object, go into face mode, and I'm going to do a drag select of these faces. So I'm going to hold down the tab key and drag those faces. And you can see that if I press 4 on the keyboard, they're selected, right? They're just on the other side. So just press delete. There you go. And then something to note is that if you're planning to UV unwrap this, now would be a good time, because if you UV unwrap this one, the rest of them will be UV unwrapped as well. And then to change it from an instance back to regular object, what you would do is select all your objects, right? And then go up to Modify, Convert, and then you would change it from instance back to object, right? We're going to also mirror later on, and that also removes the instance, but we might as well do this now. So instance to object, that's if you don't plan to UV unwrap this. So I'm just going to go convert instance to object. Instance to object. All right, that part's done. Let's add a few spikes onto here. So for the spikes, I'm just going to get rid of this one. I'm going to add a cone to the scene. Maybe lift this up. Size it up as well. And I'm actually going to reduce the subdivisions on this, pressing T on the keyboard, and I'm going to make it 4. Keep it nice and low. And then let's rotate this as well. So I'm going to hold down J and rotate it 45 degrees, I think it was. All right, so now I'm just going to scale it down a bit more. All right, I'm only going to put it on this side, but I'm just sizing it up. So I think that should be fine, maybe a little bit bigger. All right. And I'm also going to just freeze those transformations. Great. So now let's move this over here. And for this one, I only need 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So go up to Edit, Duplicate Special, and then we'll change this to 5 and click Duplicate Special. All right. So to make this easier to select, I might as well rotate this as well. Holding down J, just rotating it 180. And then let's grab our Snap Together tool. So that's under Modify, Snap Together. And this one, just gonna click on here, here, enter. And I'll fix the rotation in a second. Just wanna get all these on there. And there we go. Awesome. And then what I can do now is, let's delete this face before I forget. Delete, and then I'm gonna go over here and just fix the rotation on some of these. That one's okay. All right, I think that's fine. Get rid of this. All right, so next, we have our objects that we need on this side. I want to mirror it on that side. And we want to just combine it all together, but without the chest, because we added some indents and I don't want the indents to be symmetrical with the other side. So what we're going to do is select all these objects over here that we made, as well as this one, everything but the chest, and then we're going to combine this into one object. So click the combine button, and then we will need to move our move tool to the center axis. So let's switch to this view over here should be fine. And I'm gonna turn on X-ray mode, and then hold down D then V, actually hold down D then X, and then click and drag this to here so it's in the center. And then we're ready to mirror this. So what we'll do now is, where is it? Click the mirror button, and we want to mirror it in the Z positive direction. Z positive. And there we go. It's on the other side. And now we're pretty much done. What we can do is maybe make a couple coins for this. And then for something like this, once it's like UV unwrapped, if you're planning to do that, you would want to combine everything into one object because it's more efficient that way for the game engine, right? But for now, I'm just going to select everything and maybe freeze transformations and delete history, right? And then I have some extra history here I can get rid of. There we go. And let's add a couple coins. So for the coin, I'm just gonna add a cylinder to the scene. And let's drop the subdivisions. I'm gonna make this 8. 8 should be plenty. Scale this down. All right, I think that should be all right. Let's make it a bit flatter. Maybe a bit smaller. There we go. And then I'm just gonna move it back here for a second, and I'm gonna go into face mode, box select these faces, and let's extrude that. We'll extrude it with an offset first. And then I'm gonna press G to repeat, and then bring in that thickness a little bit, and maybe bring in that offset a little bit as well. And then for this, maybe we can even bevel these edges at the corners. Just a small fraction. There we go. All right, we have a little coin there. And then we'll just move it over here. For the coin, I want to move the pivot to the bottom. Actually, no, I'll leave it in the center. Trying to think here. I'm going to add a ground plane just to see what this looks like. And then for the ground plane, maybe lower the subdivisions to 1. And let's just move this up. Actually, I will move the pivot to the bottom. So I'm going to hold down D, then V, and click and drag this to there. And that way I can hold down X now and snap it to the ground. And we'll just add a couple coins to the scene to finish off. And Control D, move this one here, maybe rotate a little bit, and lift it up. There we go. We have a couple coins now. We have a treasure chest that looks much more detailed than before. And yeah, there you go. All right, that wraps up another one for us. Thanks for checking this one out, everyone. Until next time, this has been Digital Dreambox, your destination for game art.